We met a new mate last week, didn't we? I don't know what were they called, Jane, or John?
Diana.
Yeah, it did begin with a J, so Diana's quite appropriate, I think. Yeah. Right, so. We met a new mate last week, didn't we? I don't know. Shut up! I'm on here, not you. Multi-personality.
That's
right.
an irrelevant call.
Is it?
Yes, it's an irrelevant one. Currently you're relevant, but next week you won't be relevant. There'll be a new call.
Oh no, I'm getting special problems. Right, I think what we need to do, if I can get this live on the doodah, right, then we can get the effort sorted, right? And then does that make sense?
Yes.
Good, plague. So what we got to put the plague on now. So we got that, right? Plague with the young explorers. And then what we'll do, we'll go on to that, right? Are you on it? Have you liked it yet?
No.
What do you mean you're not liking it? How can you not like?
I haven't pulled it up yet.
You gotta like yourself. It's just like goes with the vibe. Right, okay, we got that there, and if we change that there as well. See, you know, if it wasn't for me remembering that we had to do a live stream, right, you would never have remembered.
That's true.
And it's my fault. It's all my fault.
It is all your fault.
It's all my fault, and you should feel really bad about that.
I feel terrible.
I feel terrible as well. Yeah, it's all my fault. Do you know what? It's part of the fun, I think. Rono Goland, who the hell was he? Who?
Someone? Ronald McDonald?
Yeah, I knew Ronald McDonald. He was a mate of mine, and we used to chat. And
he's my dad.
What, Ronald McDonald?
Yeah, he's my dad.
Oh, we do have one person watching at this minute. Is it you?
Maybe.
No, what do you mean maybe? It either is or it isn't.
I don't know.
Oh, let's have a bit of the old. It's looking good. You know, I am so impressed with my lack of ability to be able to do this.
Playing with young explorers. Here we go. One watching.
I wonder if is that person. Do you think it could be?
It could be. It only says there's one watching.
No, I think. Well, no, is that you?
Maybe.
No, that's you.
I don't know.
No, that is you watching. So in other words, the sum result of doing this is actually that you are the one who's watching. Do you know what I mean?
No, there's two watching. No,
oh my god, this is amazing. Oh, I tell you what, we doubled numbers in a minute. So if we keep talking like this, if we double numbers in a minute, in the second minute we like 4, and in the third minute we're 8. Oh my god, we could be in 1,000 in a yeah. Do you know what I mean?
There's two watching, and I don't
oh my
know who it
god,
is.
that's amazing! Say hello to them, Stav.
Hello, people.
Hello, people. Like,
I'm
you know,
famous.
What?
I'm famous.
What? Infamous or famous? Live now. And we've got plague with right. I'm so impressed with my lack of
plague skills.
I think everyone should have a bit of plague on a Wednesday. Seeing as it's not a Wednesday, it's not really can't really get it. Really.
Papa Smurf, he said hey. Hello, Papa Smurf.
Who the hell is Papa Smurf?
I don't know, but he said hey.
Do you know what? I've got a love for Papa Smurf. Have you got a love for Papa Smurf? In fact,
yes.
I think.
Smurf is my dad.
Hang on. You said Donald Trump was your dad.
I said Ronald McDonald was my dad, but he's
And Papa Smurf is your dad.
Papa Smurf just adopted me.
All right. I gotta be honest with you. I'm really impressed with the way Papa Smurf has just turned up. Yeah, we love Papa Smurf. And right. What we've got to say, right, Papa Smurf, hopefully the sound is sounded good for you, Papa Smurf, right, and we are joined today by Evan, say hello.
Right.
Yeah, and also say hello, Steve.
Hello.
Oh God, we've lost one person already.
Oh.
I feel absolutely mortified by this. Anyway, so today we're going to be looking a little bit about the plague, and I am absolutely convinced that we said we were going to do the plague last week, right?
Yeah.
Did we say that we were going to do the plague last week?
Yeah, we did.
What, did you or did I?
I don't know, one of us did.
Oh my god! What did Evan say? What did you say?
Carl, I didn't say anything, Carl.
Well, how long have we got left?
45 minutes.
Oh right, yeah. The weird thing is, your nan's got to take over after this, so we got to get on. Right, Evan. Oh no, if I change your name to Evan, right, and keep changing it to a different name, right, people are
Well,
going to
people will
think
believe.
people are going to think there's loads of us. Evan, right? So, Evan.
All right, Carl.
Yeah, all right. I gotta let somebody in a minute because you know the plague victim has to come in the house.
All right, Carl.
Oh shit! I've just dropped the keys in the tomatoes.
Oh, Carl, that's terrible news.
Down the shop wouldn't let me put one in a window so she can fuck off as well as I'm going in there.
Alright then. Well anyway, do yourself a cup of tea. I've got young Stab on the phone. No, not on
It's
the
actually
phone.
Evan, Carl. You got it wrong.
Have I got it? Oh god, you know, I don't know what's going on. Have you checked to see how many people are watching so far?
I think it's 2.
Oh no, we got Papa Smurf a sound. It sounds okay to me, guys. He's presuming we're all men. You know?
Yeah, I know.
Right, so what we're going to do, we're going to get straight into the plague, right? Now, Stav.
Yes, hello, Carl.
Yeah, right. So, what do you know about the plague? And what are we talking about? No, Stav, right? Why
Yes,
don't you
Carl.
come on screen, man? It would be great to not speak to a black box, right? So anyway, Stav, when I say plague, what am I talking about? What is the plague about? You know, I'm saying the plague. You know, what does it mean? Don't read any of the stuff on the screen. In fact, what we're going to do is going to quickly change. There we go. He's a witch. No, anyway, this is a scene from Monty Python, right? When they're putting a witch on trial, but they look pretty pretty dirty, right? So we're just going to presume that they've all got the plague, right? Anyway, so what do you know about the plague, Steve?
Related to zombies, you know, infected. It can infect the entire world to become zombies, Walking Dead type of thing. Zombie hunters.
Stav,
Yeah.
can I just make just a little observation, right?
Yep.
The plague, yeah?
Mm.
You getting this, right? Hang on a minute. Just you and me on the screen has got nothing to do, right? As the plague, because you just see me now, right? The plague has got nothing to do at all, ever, with zombies.
Coronavirus, the Black Death.
Well, it's close, right? But the coronavirus, right, without getting political, has killed like, is it, I don't know.
One too many people? Something
One
like that.
too many people. I don't know. The coronavirus has like killed 1.5 million people on the planet. I don't know. Right. Anyway, that's after a year. Now, to give you an idea how bad plague outbreaks have been, we're talking about in that period in the past. We're talking about tens of millions of people dying by now. Right.
Hey?
Which is quite a serious point. Yeah, that's the point. You know. To be honest with you, Stav, right? The plague is pretty bad, right?
Yes. Oh, bad.
It's not a good thing, right?
No.
When people die of the plague, right? It's quite a bad thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, you're getting that, right?
Yeah.
So Stav, can we just like go back to that image and just like get an idea of what? Now, have you actually done the plague in school or anything like that?
No.
Well, and you think the plague's about the zombies?
Well, it could be about anything. Because the plague infects people, and it could infect people to become zombies.
Actually, you got the infection bit right, so you got 50% right. You get half a point, and that's deducted for Evan not being here.
Get in.
Do you know? I'm really sure. I'm really really upset about the fact that I can't believe you haven't actually learned anything about plague at school at all.
I know they're not very helpful in that sense.
What do you mean they're not very helpful in your school?
No, it didn't exactly teach me about the plague, the dangers of the world.
The dangers of the world. So, right, so let's go back a bit, right? Now, people used to think that the humble little rat was responsible for spreading plague over different people. What?
It probably was.
No, it wasn't.
Well, it could have
Well,
been.
no, it was partly to do with this, right? It's talking about the flea bites or sucks the skin, blood of an infected animal. In this case, a human being.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, well, it's not a good thing, is it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And actually, the Latin name of this original sort of outbreak in 1349, when it hit Wales, it was actually probably around since about the 1320s. And guess where it came from?
I know. I mean, China.
Yes, as Donald Trump would go, China.
Chinatown.
Chinatown. Oh.
Again.
Shut up. Anyway, it did. Well, we can't exactly say that it really did originate in China, but Marco Polo.
Did.
Shut up. Marco Polo, who was an explorer in the in the 1310s and 1320s, he went to Mongolia and China, and he wrote about something really bad going on. And then it took a good 20 plus years to actually get over to Europe. And we're not really completely sure how the plague spread. Some people believe the following checklist on how the plague was spread, right? So can we be really vain and just like do a little bit of a check to see how many people are actually watching? Right.
Yes.
Have we got anyone there now, or are they all gone?
Hopefully not.
We've still got Papa Smurf watching.
Yes.
Yes, do you know what? I'm really happy that. Can I ask a question? Are you sure you're not Papa Smurf?
I'm positive.
Because if you're Papa Smurf, right, and you're you, right, then what's going on? Do you know what I mean?
I can tell you now, I'm not Papa Smurf.
Well, that's good. Oh, thank God for that.
That'd
Anyway,
be terrible.
yeah, I know it would be terrible. So anyway, the thing is, what we do find is that the fleas are sucking the blood, right? And then the flea needs to jump onto something. Right now, the flea can jump onto a rat. The flea can hide in clothing that people are carrying. The flea can jump onto a cat, or the flea can jump onto a dog, any mammal, right? And usually what's happening is that the flea will then bite a rat, or will then bite a cat. There's a poem there, right? A rat or a cat,
A cat.
or
Anything.
any mammal, right? And we're all aware what mammals are, right? And let's not involve bats in this one, right? We're not gonna mention them, right? But anyway, the main thing is the flea is carried by all these different animals, right? And eventually, a rat might go into a house, and a rat might be dying, and then the flea, as the flea knows that the rat is dying because it's getting colder, it will then jump onto the next creature that might be a dog or a human being, and it might bite that creature and then infect that creature, and then there's that person dying, then the flea needs to jump on something else. Do you know that's a more well explainable way of saying how these plagues spread, because it was originally blamed on the little black rat. Have you ever seen a little black rat? They look they look very cute. They go
Disgusting.
no, but they're really nice. We got rats living in the house upstairs. We got 4 male rats and 7 female rats. And they've all got names. Yeah, but it's not the rat that's actually spreading the plague. It's actually the flea on the rat, or it's the flea on the cat, and so on. So as creatures are dying, the flea will jump onto the next warm thing. Right now, do you know the Latin name of this terrible plague outbreak in 1349 when it reached Wales?
Black Death.
And the Latin name of the bacterium is in fact Eurestis pestis.
I said that.
Oh, did you actually say Eurestis pestis?
Yeah, I did.
Do you want me to get it a bit more complicated?
I do.
Do you want me to get it really complicated? Right.
Yes. Okay.
Eurestis pestis is the genome or the formula for what's later on known as the plague. So that's known as the genomic signature, and then the plague is the phenomic signature. So, Stav, do you want to really impress your science teachers in school? The genomic signature of COVID, right, is SARS-2, and the phenomic name is actually COVID itself. And your teacher will be very impressed, and they will send you out the room for embarrassing them, and you can stand outside the room for a whole hour playing on your phone, and you can thank me. Are you impressed by that, Stav? Stav, are you still there? Oh my God, he's disappeared. Hello?
How long haven't you heard me talk?
Oh my God, it's been at least... If you leave me now, you take away the greatest part of me.
My mic has been on mute for like a very long time.
The mic's been on mute, right? Mike's been on mute. He's not even involved in what we're doing. Do you know what I mean?
The mic, like Mike. M-I-C, Mike.
M-I-C. That's a
Mike,
strange...
Mike.
That's
You
a
know,
strange
the
name.
mic.
Oh,
the
right,
headset.
yeah.
Mike.
Yeah. So what have we learnt about the plague so far, Stan? We know that the plague got to Wales in 1349, but we're talking about any creature carrying the plague, right? Any mammal, any warm-blooded mammal carrying the plague. This is what we think, right? So when it got to Wales in 1349, we know it got to Bristol and Southampton in about 1348. So what happened, it actually eventually spread over to Wales. We didn't stop the ships. We didn't stop those little fleas. And it spread amongst the people, and people died. Now,
Terrible.
I know it's terrible, right? But we cannot blame the flea, and we cannot blame the cat, and we cannot blame the dog. Terrible things were happening. Rats, the black rat the Norwegian black rat was persecuted so much that there's hardly any black rat populations left in the whole of Britain, because they're always seen as the thing that carries the plague. But rats died as much as human beings from the plague, and so did cats. Cats were persecuted. So, you know, it's sad that the cats were persecuted. Dogs were persecuted, because every time they would see a dog or a cat, they think, oh my God, it's going to pass on the plague. But it was actually the fleas that the dog and the cat had that actually passed on the plague. And it wasn't actually dog fleas or cat fleas. It was the flea that lives and loves to drink human blood.
Disgusting.
The vampire flea.
Is there actually such thing?
Well, no, there's no such thing as by name the vampire flea, but as we associate vampires with sucking on human blood, you could technically call them the vampire flea. I've just made that up, but it sounds really good.
That is absolutely
That's amazing,
ridiculous.
isn't it? No, I thought it was absolutely amazing, not ridiculous.
Ridiculous. It's absurd.
I know, it's absurd. And by the way, this image is directly linked with next week when we're going to do witches, and we're going to burn a few witches next week, actually, and the archaeology and history of witches, because they're saying, no, that's a witch. But they look very dirty, grubby people, and they look very much like people that may have the plague.
They look prosperous.
Prosperous?
Yes.
What do you mean prosperous? Prosperous means you got loads of money.
No. Prosperous means ridiculous or absurd.
So I've learned a word today.
Yeah. It's a big
Do
one.
we ask the question, is Papa Smurf still watching? because he's the
Oh, I
only one.
hope so.
I hope so, because that's oh my god, there's somebody else joined us. Oh my god, so what we're going to do? We've got to be. I don't know. We've got to be really good now for the next couple of minutes. We've just got to be absolutely amazing to try. If we double numbers of people today, that'd be 100% more than last week.
But hang on, there's only there's 2 people watching.
Shh! Don't say a word, right? Just pretend that we don't know that there's anyone else watching.
Yeah, we'll just pretend that
Yeah.
no one else is watching.
Shh!
Shh.
So there was actually 2 major episodes of Plague in Britain. That they could be argued that there was many, many more, right? So, Stav, big question. When was another terrible outbreak of the plague based on these people's costumes?
Probably the Victorian times.
Actually, that's actually not a wrong answer, because there were outbreaks of plague in the Victorian period. But the major next outbreak of plague was actually in 1666, and 1665, 1666. They reckon that the Great Fire of London was deliberately caused because they wanted to rid the streets of horrible plague, because over 1,000 people a day were dying in London with the outbreak of the terrible Great Plague of 1665, 1666. And plague never went away. It's a bit like modern day COVID, because that will never ever go away. It will always be with us. But some say that COVID virus has actually been... the COVID virus has actually been with us some time. It just didn't actually happen. It just didn't occur in China. Right, and I don't think we can blame the Chinese for the outbreak of modern day COVID, but let's not do that. We're just sort of doing the plague of the past.
No. I believe it was from the Chinese meat shops.
What, Dave's Chinese meat shop?
Yeah, you know the Dave. There's the multiple Daves in China who run the meat shops.
Oh my god, I just got a fly that's just fallen in my drink.
That sucks.
And it's still
One
alive.
of them's called Dave, the other is Maeve, the other is Cave, the other
I've
is
just
Save.
saved it. I've just saved it.
You saved it?
Yeah, I just got it out, and it's now on my bit of paper, and it's just drying its wings, and it can live again.
Oh, okay. Well, the next plague outbreak is Crichton, Charles, 1965.
Hang on, wasn't that the film of the Daleks film with Peter Cushing from was that 1965?
No, that's the plague outbreak.
No, that's no. You said 1965.
1965 plague outbreak.
No. 1665.
Plague outbreak. Charles Crichton.
Shut up, you silly boy.
karl-j-langford@hotmail.com.
Yeah, that's my. I'll have everyone contacting me who's actually watching this at this minute. Right. So basically, what people do you know what, Stav? Nobody actually realised. Nobody actually realised that plague was actually in the blood.
Blood?
Yeah, it was actually in the blood. It was in the blood, because
It
when
was
you
carried in blood.
Well, yeah, of course it's carried in blood, because the flea bites you. It sucks your blood. It goes. That was actually quite good, you know.
Yes, it was.
And actually, what the flea needs to do, right, is that the flea is so big that it can barely sort of hop. It basically crawling along. So actually, they didn't really realise that the flea was actually spreading the plague. Now, I know it sounds a bit obvious, right? You know, Stav, you can imagine this now, right? You're wandering down the street, right? And there's this guy in this big, like, cloak, right? And he gets really close to you, right? It's not a good thing to do, Stav. Let weird men in big cloaks get right anyway. But it's 1348, right? And he wants you to clean out his toilet, because that's what you do. So it's 1340, and I help you out. You know, I just carry the buckets as you clean it out with your hands. But anyway, so he says, "Come here, boy," and you say, "Yeah." He says, "I want my toilet cleaned out," and you go, "Yeah, yes, sir, yes, sir. I'll give you a penny to clean out my toilets for the whole week," and you get really excited that you can get actually a whole penny. right? But unfortunately, one of the fleas clambers onto you and it bites you. And you go, ah! And that's it. Because you get bitten all the time because you've got loads of fleas on you anyway. So this is a special flea. This carries Eurestis pestis. This carries infected blood. And you are now infected. Isn't that cool?
Yes, it is actually.
And actually, can I give you a few other key facts? You know that bloke there? That's me. He's going, be very wary. You're all gonna die. And then all die.
The guy who's...
What? No, this is
you know the guy at the bottom left who's choking?
Yeah.
He's actually about to get up and start a fire where that is. And that's actually me. To burn all the vaccine. No. This is they don't have vaccine back then, did they? And actually, people used to think the humble garlic would stop you. No, that's for vampires.
No, but they actually did think that garlic and all sorts of concoctions would get rid of plague. That's what they actually thought. They really did. And they actually wore... Right, now this is really disgusting, right? Have you ever seen those programmes where these people were wearing massive beaks and they're going around dressed as chickens?
Yeah.
You've seen that, have you?
Is that a drag queen?
No, it's not a drag queen. No, it's not. It's not a drag queen. No, right. No, right, Stav, right. We're going to show you one of these really weird things, right? Forget about all this, right? That's Dave. And like men, and you see that bloke there? See him?
Oh, it's that guy. He's the Black Death.
Yeah, well, hang on. Have you just realised that's what we've actually been doing for the past half an hour?
No, I promise.
What, you promised what? This is what we've been doing for the past hour. And basically what they used to do to get to actually ward off, they used to actually put a crushed up garlic in this end bit, right? And this is going to sound really disgusting, right? They actually used to put human poo in the end of it because that used to smell better than people dying from the plague. And they used to think that used to ward off the plague.
Oh, for God's sake.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh.
Oh, by the way, you know the bridge in front of you, right?
Yeah.
There's two bridges in London. There's Tower Bridge and London Bridge.
Yeah.
Well, the Americans in I think it was the late 1800s, they said they wanted to buy London Bridge. You know, with the one that rises and you know the towers on either side.
What are they going to do with it?
Well, shut up. Anyway, the people in London, they said, oh, we'll sell them the other one with no buildings and stuff on it. So they sold them the wrong bridge. So they put it all on in boxes, sent it over to America, and the Americans paid, and they didn't actually have Tower Bridge with the risey doodah. They actually had this one.
Silly old people.
Yeah, well, they are Americans after, or you know, it just goes with the flow. Anyway, Stav, what were we talking about? Right, we were talking about different ways of warding off the plague, right? So
Death of Black.
Yeah, I'm confused now with what you just said. Anyway, this guy's saying, this guy's quite a prophet, right? He's got a stick, right, and in the top of it, he's got like a metal basket, and there's embers in it burning. Yeah, that's called a faggot. And he's going, you people will all die. And then suddenly enough, they're all dying. He's just such an amazing bloke. There's that guy going past there, Eric, right? And he's saying, hey you down there. He said, oh, ignore that idiot. He's saying, you're going to die. And the next day he wakes up coughing out his lungs and he dies. So he's quite a prophet.
Well, that's fortunate.
Well, unfortunate or fortunate?
Unfortunate.
Yeah, it's a bit, you know, so that guy, you know, and eventually they kill him as well. Because he's a bit of a... You know, he's not really good, you know. At the height of the plague in London, as I said, in 1665, 1666, they were burying 1,000 people, right? And there would be a person going through the street going, hang on, have I got to finish my drink a minute to get the effect? Who was going, bring out your dead! Bringing about, bring out your dead! And what people used to do, right? They used to they used to drag people out their houses, leave them in the street, and then it used to be this guy who used to collect all the bodies, right? And you used to have to pay this bloke to take your body away, And if you watch the Monty Python film, there's an old guy in a house, and his son thinks, "Oh, I'll get rid of my dad now," so he drags him out, and the guy in the car, he says to the guy's son, he said, "Oh, the guy's not dead." He said, "He is." So he knocks him over the head with a mallet. He says, "I'm still not dead." Anyway, you will be soon, mate. Anyway, that's sorry, I just thought I'd chuck that in there. I thought that was quite appropriate, you know.
Yeah, it is in a way. You know.
In a way, it's just like, you know, quite exciting. Right, now the one weird thing is, you know, Stav, we mentioned about the outbreaks of plague, right?
Yeah.
Did you know plague is still active on this planet even today?
Yes.
How do you know that?
Makes sense.
What do you mean it makes sense?
Madagascar, Uganda, Congo, United States of America, Peru, Bolivia, the plague, China, Kyrgyzstan, Russia.
Shut up.
Okay.
Yeah, I do the stuff around here, not you. Do you know what I mean? You know, it's just like having that weird bloke along. Oh, and there's hey, guess what? There's this woman called Janine just joined us as well.
What?
My God, there's actually a woman who's actually joined us. Anyway, so I don't know where we are now. What were we talking about? Yeah, we were somewhere. Right. So the plague, right? This is the thing. The plague never ever went away, right? And there's lots that we can learn from this, right? We've got to be vigilant, you know. And this is what they're saying about, you know, COVID today. We've got to learn from diseases in the past to help us learn, so that we can not have these things repeating. And guess what's happened, Stav?
It's repeated.
It's repeated. Yeah, no, that is a really good point. And on a serious level, right? We've had these things happening so many times, and we've just not learned from these lessons, right? Because, you know, we had the outbreak of the Spanish flu at the end of the First World War in November 1919, and it was still going into 1921, and we just didn't learn back then, and we didn't learn now, and this is the tragedy, because we could have prevented this whole thing, because we've seen this before, and the plague is still with us. But what people do, they drink clean water, they change their clothes, and they have baths and so on, and all these ward off these terrible things. I'm not saying for 1 minute that people in Madagascar don't wash and so on and so on. But Madagascar is a very hot country. And because there's a lot of poverty there, it might be because there's lots of people living together, and those are the people dying of the plague, which is really unfortunate. So here we go. Now this is a really interesting little thing, right? A deadly traveller. During the last 400 years, Norway rats migrated to every continent except Antarctica. Along the way, they became killers as well as dubious pets. Black Death. Now that's really unfair. It really, really is, because it could have equally. There could be a nice little. Can you imagine it, Stav? You know, nice little population of rats living on a nice cozy ship. They're going, "Oh, we got loads of food." You can imagine it getting really cute, really cute. And then suddenly a cat comes on board with these fleas, which are infected with the Orestes pestis, and then they go over to the rats, right? And then rats get all infected, and they go, "Oh, we're all dying now because of that bloody cat, and he's going to eat us anyway," you know. So yeah. if anything actually survives, do you know what I mean? So it is, you know, this is the terrible thing, you know. Because the rats, as I keep saying, the rats died as much as anything else, you know. And the one thing that I haven't mentioned, you know, when I mentioned about, you know, plague coming into Wales in 1349, yeah, I mentioned that. Well,
yeah,
it'd already been in England in 1348, right? And it had been in England. And it came in the form of there's actually 4 types of plague, right? It came as a bubonic plague, where you would get buboids, and you'd start to cough, and you'd start to get infection. Now, bubonic plague would probably kill you in about 8 days, right? And it was a terrible, terrible death. And then, by the winter of that year, 1348 in England, there was the pneumonic plague. And the pneumonia means lungs. So you would basically be coughing up your lungs, and the pneumonic plague would kill you in about 3 or 4 days. Now, if you survive the pneumonic plague, if you're okay after 6 or 7 days, then you've got the antibodies and you're a really strong person. But you could be anybody. It's just the way it happens. But Stav, there's 2 other plagues that you wouldn't be told about. Now, later on, at the beginning of 1349 in England, there was something called the septicemic plague. Now, septicemic plague had probably a 99.9% death rate.
Oh my god!
And this was all carried by these little fleas that carried Urestis pestis. And I know you've probably heard about mutated COVID. So basically, bubonic plague is one type of Urestis pestis, and it mutates into pneumonic. Then it mutates into septicemic, and then there's abortive plague. You think you've got it, but you haven't got it, and you live, which is a bit of a strange one. When we think that the death rate in England is something like 65 to 70%. Of the whole population of England in 1348, 1349 to 1351, but when it gets to Wales, it doesn't go in waves. Do you understand? Oh, you know about waves, don't you? You've got the first COVID wave, you've got the second COVID wave. You know about that anyway, so we don't have to do that. So all that came together into Wales. So you had the bubonic, pneumonic, septicemic, and abortive plague all at once. So anyone was bitten by one of these fleas in Wales, it was probably you had an 85 to 90% chance of dying.
Oh.
I tell you what, yeah. Oh wow, yeah. But it hit sort of more in the summer of 1349 in Wales. So even though it had the worst bit of the pneumonic and the bubonic, and some people had septicemic, right, and the abortive one that you think you've got it and you actually haven't. Well, you've got it, but it doesn't kill you at all, right? So there was a little bit more of a chance that you might actually survive in the summer months. But obviously there's lots of fleas around, but because it's warm, and you're not going to get really bad natural pneumonia. So this is what's happening. Now, I know you're looking at the chart. It's probably likely that in the 1300s, that figure of 25 million is a little bit more than that. I believe that the death rate in Europe is something like 200 million people.
That's quite a lot.
The population, yeah, it is. Across the whole of Europe, probably more like the whole of Europe and Asia, actually, but it was something like 200 million people, which is a lot of people. The population of we're going to go England, Wales, Scotland, Ireland, the Isle of Man, the whole of Britain. The population then was probably about 7 million. It probably killed between 4 to 5 million people in the British Isles between 1348 and 1351. So it was quite a terrible thing. So, and you know, they had seen nothing like it. What they actually thought it was actually it was caused by people not doing godly things. So in other words, they weren't going to church. So Stav, you're going to die. I don't go to church. I'm going to die. Next week, Evan can stay alone. But we'll just give him the computer, shall we, so he can just teach himself?
Yeah, and he can tell himself how long is left.
Yeah, that's
in
good.
Despair.
Yeah, well, he's always in despair, our good Evan. He will be back next week. He's actually on the beach today, swimming in Tenby.
Oh, well, that's very unfortunate.
I don't know how you can swim on sand, but he's that's what he's doing.
How do you swim on sand?
Yeah,
how
there's a
does
song.
one do that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just Evan, isn't it? No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, so it was quite a really cataclysmic event, and and they thought it was the wrath of God. They thought God caused it because you had not been holy, and I'd certainly not been holy. You know, I decided to stop eating meat and become a vegetarian. That's not holy,
Isn't it?
I don't know, something like that. You know, whatever.
If anything, that is holy.
What, eating meat or not eating meat? I don't know.
Eating
something
meat.
is.
No, not eating meat, because you're not eating the animals.
Yeah, exactly. Shut up.
I don't know.
Anyway, the one thing is, this is really interesting. It basically said something what I've already said. It comes from like Mongolia or it comes from China and so on or whatever. And it's given a couple of dates that slightly disagree with me there. I'm saying it got to Bristol by 1348. It's saying it's 1349, but that's when it got to Wales. But anyway, the thing is, they thought it, you know, everyone in churches was fine, right, Stav? They were all fine. Until they started to die. So what would happen is the monks would go out in the streets and it would go. They would flail themselves. They would go. Hang on a minute. Let's flail myself. When you go flailing, you go. Ah! Oh God! I just broke the light. And they go. Ah! They would deliberately hurt themselves going through the streets, right? But they didn't know that this humble little flea came up to them, got into their pants, bit them somewhere. Right, and they ended up with the plague as well. So even though they were like being holy, monks started to die. Right.
Oh, they're like the most holy thing in the world.
Yes. So the monks started to die. What we've got whole monasteries where basically all the monks die. Right, and actually there's a really interesting thing that if the plague didn't hit Europe and people had been more cleanly and they hadn't lived with cattle and all these things that actually spread the plague, and we've got something terrible called anthrax, right? Not the pop group that my wonderful Michelle listens to, but a very terrible disease, anthrax, and lots of other things. It wasn't just the plague that was killing people; it was lots of other things as well. You know, the plague didn't come alone, and the plague couldn't have had this amount of deaths if it was just doing its own thing, because people could have just thought, oh right, you know, we're going to isolate ourselves into monasteries and stuff, and they didn't. And the monks came out, and the monks started to die. So that's a really interesting thing. The church couldn't stop this, so the church lost credibility as well. It's, in other words, the church couldn't save people from the plague, and priests. What would happen is priests were starting to charge people money to actually be at their bedside. So people would pay the priests, and then the priests would get bitten, and then they would die themselves.
Oh.
Now this is really interesting. This actually agrees with what I said. It's sort of talking about 66% death rate in Europe, which is quite big. And what they did, they actually blamed other people in Europe, like the Jewish population in Europe. They blamed them. They blamed Jewish people in Europe for spreading the plague, and gypsies as well. They actually blamed gypsies. I'm actually of gypsy blood, so Stav, I'm going to be blamed for this, and I'm going to be burnt. I'm sorry, it's my fault.
Oh no, that is really terrible.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Stav. You won't see me next week. Evan's taking over. But anyway, what basically there was one good thing that came out of the plague. It's actually written on the screen.
The impact effects, church credibility, death.
Oh, further down, by the bridge.
Yeah, by the bridge. Shadows, people burning. 66. Philip. What's it called? People rate, the dropping, humanity rate, society. Dying.
And that means that with less people around, people are valuable. So in other words, if you've got 10 people working on a field, and there's 2 people standing on the side with nothing to do, and if you think about that, there's a 66% death rate, for example, and that's 12 people that was around. 66, that means that 8 people are now dead. So those 4 people are very valuable, because those are the only ones left to farm the land. So they're valued more, they're paid more, and whatever they produced. So in other words, people are treated a lot better after the plague.
Oh.
So something good came of it, but you know, if you lived in a village and you were hit like in England, and like 65 or 70% of the population of your village in England died, there would be a lot of empty houses. And then again, what you do, you just say, right, Dave promised me his house, so you just move into his house. You've got 2 houses. Then again, you go into his house, you start emptying it, you're bitten, you die yourself. So, you know, it has, what people did back then, there's 2 really interesting things, right? And one thing I've misled you on, which I'll tell you in a minute. One thing that they did was, when they would drag people out of the houses, they would put them in the cart and they would bury people in a big pit, right? And then they would burn the house. They would not burn the house with the person inside, because you're not allowed to burn people, except they used to like burning Jewish people, but they didn't like burning people at all in the medieval period. It's terrible what happened to Jewish people in Europe, to be honest with you, because they were blamed for lots of things. But Jewish people in Europe were very good people with silver and making gold things and so on. But because Jewish people are different, when people are different, you're blamed for things. So you know what it's like, Stav. In school, if somebody's going to get bullied, you're going to be different. So
yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I've got a big nose. Look at the size of my nose, and I'd get bullied. Do you know what they used to call me in school? Big nose.
Big nose Carl.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for letting me feel it. Right, yeah. So this is bubonic plague. So here we go, right? So let's go through the symptoms. You get a bit of a headache. I've got a bit of a headache, man. I need some tablets. Yeah, I'm shaking. Oh, and you're a bit of a shaking. Bit of a fever. Oh. Then you've got a bit of a malaise. You're thinking, oh my God, there's a pink elephant flying towards me, or is it a green one? I'm not sure. Pink elephants do exist, right? So this is the first sign. This is on the first day, right? The second day, you get little lumps on the side of your neck and under your arms, right? And they're called buboes. They swell and they start to go a bit of a browny colour and a bit of a purpley colour, right? On the third day, right, the buboids exude pus, and all the pus goes everywhere. They explode and they go everywhere. Oh my God, the buboids have exploded.
Oh.
Anyway, so probably on the late third day, on the fourth day, probably about 5:15, some 6 o'clock if you can last, you start to vomit. There you go, a nice bit of vomiting. And then finally you can't move and you get all these aches and pains, and Dave, he's dead.
Oh, that's a shame. I like Dave.
I like Dave as well, you know. And should we check who's on there again? Let's just have a little bit of a check.
Yeah, I forgot about them.
Oh my God, there's no one there.
What?
Oh God, they've all disappeared. Oh no.
Disappeared?
Not even that woman from last week. Even Papa Smurf has gone. And Janine, flippin' heck.
They've both gone.
Oh my God, you must have said something.
What did I say?
I think
maybe I can say something to bring them back.
Ostriches. You know when we mentioned ostriches earlier on, they all came back.
Yeah, they did. They were extinct a few hours ago, but then when you said it,
yeah, they did. They certainly did. Actually, there were other plagues in history. Not just the plague in the 1300s, not just the plague in the 1660s, right? There was also believed to have been a plague at the time of the pharaohs. Because
yes, I've heard of that as well.
The Bible wrote about the plague. So, different plagues. Look at that then. You go down the list. Now, if these were the plagues of Egypt about 3,500 years ago or thereabout, right? It talks about boils. Pharaoh not warned, but was there when Moses did it. The Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart. So there was boils. So the boils that might be plague.
Someone's
Lots
watching.
of people
Someone's
dying.
watching. Someone's watching. Someone's watching. Someone's watching.
Just keep them there. Shh! Don't say anything. Just don't give them attention, right? What we've also got, we've got another. There's a guy called Gallens. Well, you know Gallens, don't you? Dave's brother. He's a Roman. Anyway, Gallen's was writing in the reign of Marcus Aurelius in the 160s, and he first described a proper plague. He said we got a bit of the old plaguey. There are people dying in the streets.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. And we've got something known as the Justinian plague, the Emperor Justinian plague, and guess who the Justinian plague is named after?
Justin Bieber.
Well, that's half right. Emperor Justinian.
Oh, I never really did like him.
I didn't like him either. You know, in the where are we? In the 540s, there was the Justinian plague.
Yeah, he was my brother. Didn't really like him.
Didn't you?
No.
No. What the hell's going on there?
Ate my pie.
Well, but I don't know. Right, I don't know where we are at all. Right. Stab. I've just got to check something on the old Dudar effort. Right. So I do believe we've got about 5 minutes left, and
that's my job to say. That's actually we've got 5 minutes left, by the way. But yeah, that's.
Have we?
Yeah.
Well, we've really got 5 minutes left. So what we've done, we've talked about what caused the plague, and we've got the big plagues there, and we've mentioned that there are other plagues. There's that guy in the bed. He's going, well, you know, I'm hanging about, and there's a woman in the bed saying, I'm hanging about, and they're looking at other people going, I'm hanging about, and he's saying, I don't know if I'm gonna live. And they used to. Do you know when those guys in the 1600s, the 1660s used to come in with the beaks on their nose?
Yeah.
You can imagine they're in the bed saying, "Oh my God, it's the old quack." Now I don't know if you've heard of it. But people call doctors quacks.
Oh.
Have you ever heard of that?
No, that's really odd.
Yeah. No, honestly, you've heard of that one, haven't you, Michelle? Yeah, they used to call them the old quacks. So when your mum says, "Oh, Stavvy baby, you've got to go to the doctors to have your ears shringed," say, "I don't want to go to the old quacks."
And she'll think, "Oh,
what the hell is he on about?" But she might know. Actually, you know, when you see your nan next, ask your nan what the old quacks are.
What are the old quacks?
Yeah, and old doctors from the time of the plague, because they look like ducks or they look like birds. That's where you'd go. You'd go, the old quack. The old quacks, that's what you call them. So there it is, wandering across Europe, and now it goes to the Black Sea, right? And it's called the Black Sea because the water looks black. I don't bloody know. And it spreads across Europe. My dates are slightly different. I'm saying it got to Britain in 1348. But what's that between friends? But look how fast it spread across Europe within months. It was across the whole of Europe. Everywhere. Including the Rock of Gibraltar. I don't know why that's even
real
relevant.
shame.
Right? What's that?
That's a real shame. I like the Rock of Gibraltar.
And Florence had... Shut up. I'm talking. Florence had a death rate of, wait for it, between about 85 and 90%. Now, the one thing about Florence, it was a very rich city. They had a lot of wealth there, and they had a lot of money, and the problem is that didn't even save people either. Money didn't save people. There's that woman. There's Agatha Bumrut over there. Can you see the bum there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just thought. So there you go. There's a cross. And what they used to do, people who were infected with the plague, right? They used to put a cross on the outside of their houses in 1660, right? And that woman's going, "Oh my God, my little boy's just seen this guy with his bum hanging out," and she's looking, "Oh, there's a cross there. We'll think we'll go down the street quite quickly," right? And the little boy's going, "Oh, I haven't got shoes, and I just trod on a dead rat, and I just got bitten." And the mum's going, "Oh my God, not you as well." And actually, they used to nail people in their houses, and they used to, They used to nail people in their houses with no food or water, right? And funnily enough, after 10 days, they'd be dead.
What?
Yeah, this is a really weird thing. If you know, people, they didn't understand that to survive the plague, you needed fruit, and vegetables, and you needed fresh food, and you needed fresh water, and they didn't know that. So they may have just left some bread or some old stale water, and people died anyway. Without all good stuff, you're gonna die.
Oh,
and actually, what I'd like you to do, this is known as Dante's Inferno.
Yeah.
And Dante was in the 1500s. He was doing these paintings of death, and basically you can't stop death. Death will take you. Not you in particular, Stav. Don't get too excited. You know. Have you ever read Terry Deering? Not Terry Deary.
Terry Pratchett. Terry Pratchett.
That's the one. Terry Deary's horrible history. Terry Pratchett, right? Death. We're big fans of death in this house. We love death.
Oh.
He's my mate, and his dog Gaspard.
That's actually my brother. I dropped him off at your house the other day, and
Oh, well, he's still here.
Yeah, he'll probably be staying for a while.
Yeah, I know. He wants a bit of a break. He wants to do a bit of archaeology. 10 ways not to cure the plague. So, in the last 2 minutes, right? Because we got to finish in a couple of minutes because your nanny Ethel Seed wants to come on.
Ethel Seed.
No, Ethel Seed. That's your new nanny's name, and you got to remember to ask her when you see her later on.
Quacker.
What's
Daka.
a quack?
Macker.
No, what's a quack? Shut up. Anyway, 10 ways not to catch the plague. So basically, one is to keep clean. The other one is to actually stay away from other people. And the other thing as well is if you're in a place, we're not going to do all 10, but if the best way to avoid getting the plague is to move away from where you are. And actually, you know, in COVID, when they said that we've got COVID,
yeah,
loads of people moved out of London, and in doing so, they spread it all the way across Britain, right? I've just said the best way to avoid plague is to actually move out from where you live, but if you do that, you spread it to other people, so that's not actually a good way. You should actually stay put, and if you're going to get the plague, you're going to get it by going elsewhere. You're going to spread it.
Yes, no, very, 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 very silly.
Yes. Have you ever seen the film The Day After Tomorrow? No, not The Day After Tomorrow. 28 Days Later. It's like a bit of a horror movie, but it's not.
No, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, that film is based on the fact that the original outbreak in London, because people go out of London, they spread this horrible thing across the whole of Britain, and everybody's wiped out.
Oh.
So one thing we didn't learn from the past. So what we're going to do, right, what I'd like to do is I'm going to go back to him, right, and I'm going to say about plague pits. And what we're going to do, we'll do a little bit more about the plague next week and witches. Is that a good idea?
Yes, very good idea.
That's a very good idea. Should we just go on to the oh my god, there's no one actually watching at this minute. I'm going to type why.
Why no one watch?
Why not? Why no one watch it? Oh, oh my god, somebody's just started watching.
My best friend.
Why do they actually do that? You know, we're just all right. We'll just put on the next week. We're going to put on there next week at 11 a.m. So what we're going to do, Stav, are there any questions before we finish? And then what I'm going to do, we'll just chuck your nan on.
I have no questions. I saw nothing.
I don't believe it. Evan's just joined us, or is that you? Right, so, Stav, what we'll do, are you okay to do this next week?
Yes.
So what we'll do, we'll add your nan anyway, so she can say hello to you, because she does miss you, occasionally. We'll just do that.
Alrighty then.
Hello, Rosamund.
Good afternoon, all.
Stav is still there. Evan couldn't make it today, so we.
Oh.
So we did the thing. We did the plague, and Stav, when he sees you later or tomorrow, he's got some questions he wants to ask you, but don't do them now, Stav. Okay?
Okay. I can't see Stav, but there we are.
Like, I haven't been able to see him either. He's just been like a figment of someone's imagination.
Oh. Well, I shall see him later.
There he is.
Hello.
Where?
There.
Hiya.
Hello.
A lovely day.
Yes.
What time did Dad come in?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Apparently,
It's a mystery.
apparently, Stav has adopted Death as his brother.
Oh, have you? Yes.
Yeah, he loves Terry Pratchett, and he's also going to have Gaspot, Death's dog, for a week.
Might have some of those books at the attic. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, true.
Did he have a rat up his arm, Stavros?
Oh, I didn't have a rat at my arm, but we were talking about rats. We couldn't get the rat. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go and get a rat now. Stay there a minute, Stav. You can have a chat with. I'll just go and get a rat.
Are you looking for a caravan later, babes?
Yes.
Any idea what time Dad will be dropping you back?
No.
None. Well, you're going to enjoy Saffron's birthday first, isn't it?
Yes.
Is it funny seeing me in the front room?
Yes, it is actually.
Yeah, it's funny seeing you on there. Oh, remember last year when you were in lockdown and we did Zoom? This is much better
That was
than
last year?
isn't it?
Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
A whole year ago. Yes. So have you been in touch with Yastin or anyone?
No.
Oh, okay, so we don't know if they'll be there. Well, you weren't going to be down there for the day anyway, were you?
No.
I'm going to be in a rush after this because I've got to do this lecture, and then I'm going down to St Mary's Welbay to meet Jessica, one of the ladies
Oh.
from Archaeology Cymru.
Oh.
So I'm not down there anyway.
Should I have a caravan there?
Hey, look at me!
Oh.
Look at me!
Oh my God, it's a
What
rat!
the
Look at that,
hell?
Stavros!
Look at me!
Oh, there's two! Oh, look at that!
Look at me! Look at me! Michelle, you need to close the bathroom window.
My God, they're big, aren't
my
they,
God.
Carl?
Look at me!
So in the
Wowzers.
play, Carl, would the rats have been as big as that, or would they have been bigger?
Well, actually, to be honest with you, the black rat is not as big as this. They're smaller. And the other thing
Also,
as
with
well is
black rats,
these are well-fed rats.
they look lovely.
They do. We used to have a black rat, didn't we, Michelle?
Oh, look at their little hands.
They need lands, didn't they? They're lovely.
Are they hands? What do they call them?
Paws. They're called paws.
Paws.
Look at me. Look at these hands. Look at me.
Would you want those to sit on your shoulder, Stav?
From
No.
By the way, the cat's been missing, right?
Oh, the cat's still missing.
And no, the cat isn't missing
Look at
anymore.
their tails.
No, the cat's just turned up. Michelle's put a load of posters around the place, right?
Hooray!
And we've got the following texts. And hang on a minute. I'm going to read the text that we've had.
Lovely colours,
It said-
Stav.
the message I've got is somebody's read a poster. They said, "Oh, good morning. You go check the car. Some dude thinks they saw Merlin in his house. James, don't go to the car. Merlin has been found. He's in somebody's house." I don't even know who that text is from.
Oh, that's good. Good. That's the trouble. They disappear at this time of year. Bit chilly when you're sat sitting, isn't it? I've been watching the gun salute around the world for Phillips. So Cardiff Castle's been on the telly.
Stop a minute, Michelle. I've been having text off somebody. I thought it was Bronny, but it's not.
Went through the cat flap in the house in number 30.
Oh my God!
Put him on security.
Oh, that's good news.
So they got the cat back.
So how is the cat with the rats?
No, he's afraid of them.
Well, mind you, I would be too. They are big, aren't they?
Look, he's eating it. He's going, look at me, look at me.
They like it up there, don't they?
You like it up here, look at
So,
it.
do they just run round your house, or have they got like a cage?
No, they got a cage. No, we can't have them running around the house. No, yeah.
No, because they gnaw everything.
Yeah, they do.
Stab, you had some rabbits once, didn't you? And they gnawed all the wires and everything.
So,
They hopped
right.
around the house, didn't they?
Hey, what we've done the interlude. I've got to teach your nan something now, Stav.
Oh, what am I going to learn?
So,
we saying Hoyland farewell to you,
so,
Stav.
so what we're going to do, Stav,
Hey.
anything you want to ask before you go, and we'll do next week.
No.
Have you enjoyed our little sesh today?
Yes.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed our little sesh today. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to say goodbye, Stav, and I will see you then.
Bye,
Ta-da.
Stav. See you later, anyway.
Ta-ra,
Bye,
pal.
Bye.
Have a lovely afternoon.
Have a lovely afternoon. See you,
Bye-bye.
Stav.
Oh, that was nice.
That was nice. So so in other words, Michelle, are you happy now? Michelle's very happy. She's been
Good. I'm happy too for you.
She's been-
It's horrible when your cat's missing.
She's been a very miserable person. The thing is, right? Okay. Well, I've recorded this, so I'm gonna stop the record. So anyway, whoever's been watching, thank you very much for watching. And Stav and I are going to say goodbye. So we'll be back next week, and we'll be doing this 11 o'clock next week. Thank you very much. Let's stop the